Hello guys, welcome back to my Minecraft. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today, the finale day of life. I'm just kidding, of the book. We are going to read Vet, Vol, Lynn, Tears. Tears? What does that have to do with the book? So, num, whatever her name is, the therapy dog, Nyum Nyum, Nyum Nyum, she might go bye-bye, which is sad. That's why the word tears is in it. And now we are going to finish this awesome and sad book so I can get more books and read for you. Chapter 9. You guys, let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment all that fun stuff down below. Dun 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 dun. Let's get started. Chapter 9, and Troxy's joining us. Yay! It's an hour-long drive to the University Vet Hospital, where Jane is taking Nyum Nyum for cancer treatments. Gran said she wished she could go with Jane, but she got her hands full at the clinic with Dr. Gabe on vacation. So I volunteered to go. I hold Nyum Nyum in my lap as we drive out of town and into the country, past rolling hills and old family farms. I noticed colorful folk art designs on signs over the doors of some of the barns. What are those things? I asked. Pennsylvania Dutch hex signs, she explains. Aren't they beautiful? The Germans brought them over from the old country. They're supposed to keep away evil spirits. We could use a good luck charm like that ourselves today. Nyum Nyum squirms a little, as if he can't get comfortable. I stroke him softly, and he seems to settle down. I try to entertain Jane, to keep her from worrying. I tell her about what it was like living in Manhattan, a place she's only seen on television and in the movies. I wish you could meet my mom, I say. You'd really like her. I feel like I know her already. How? I ask, puzzled. From watching her soap on television, silly. Jane laughs. I turned on to watch a show when your grandmother first told me about Rose being on TV. Then I got so hooked on the show, I couldn't stop watching. I always used to have it on my shop, and all my customers got stuck on it too. Jane shakes her head and smiles. I never forget that first episode. Rose only had a few lines that day, but your grandmother and I gave her a standing ovation. JJ was so proud of her. Really, I say? I didn't know that. I don't think my mom knows that either. No, that's either. Somehow, I always got the feeling that Gran didn't approve. Gran didn't approve of Mom's acting. You'd look like her, Jane says. That makes me smile. Jane sighs. The day the last episode ran, a couple of my regulars and I just sat in front of the TV and cried. We couldn't believe they canceled that show. I couldn't believe it either, I said softly. Jane shoots me a quick glance, then reaches over to squeeze my hand. Tough break for you too, huh, kiddo? She says. I nod. It's hard. I don't finish my sentence. But Jane seems to understand what I mean. Mom's young and gorgeous, and unlike a lot of these soap stars, she can actually act. She'll get something fabulous going before you know it. Again, she pats my hand. Then she then says with a little catch in her voice. Meanwhile, Nyum Nyum and I are really glad you're here. And it hits me, even though I miss Mom really badly. I'm glad I'm here too. Glancing down, I realize that Nyum Nyum has fallen asleep, and I study the little dog in my arms. He looks the same as always, tiny and plump, with a cute little nose, half hidden by long silky hair. I brushed him well today before coming, so he'd look his best. Jane dressed him up with a bright red bow. If I didn't already know how sick he was, there'd be no way to tell him from looking at him. It's hard to imagine the illness spreading secretly through his body. Maybe he's not all that sick yet. Maybe we've caught it early, and they'll be able to make him well. I make a wish, and all the hex signs will be passed along the way. Finally, we reach the cancer center. As we get out of the car, I can tell Jane is nervous. Don't you worry, Jane, I say, as gently pass Nyum Nyum into her arms. As we get out of the car, I can tell Jane is nervous. Don't worry, Jane, I say as I gently pass Nyum Nyum into her arms. Gran says the doctors here are the best. Jane shakes her head. JJ's the best, but he's if she recommends these folks, I'm sure they'll be great. Inside, we check in at the front desk, then get sent to a waiting area. It's a lot like the waiting room at Grand's, only much, much bigger. Lots of people are waiting with their pets. Some of the animals don't look sick at all, only look tired and weak. I wonder what's wrong with them. I wonder if some of them have cancer like Yum Yum. To meet us. Miss Young, Jane looks scared. Yes? Hi, I'm Dr. Edwards. I understood you're friends of J.J. Mackenzie. She holds out a hand for Yum Yum to sniff. And Dr. Mac's taking care of little Yum Yum here, huh? Yum Yum wags his tail and licks Dr. Edwards' hand. James seems to relax. I guess she thinks if Dr. Edwards passes the Yum Yum test, she's all right. When Dr. Edwards looks over at me, I hold out my hand. I'm Zoe, Dr. Mackenzie, Dr. Mac granddaughter. Dr. Edwards smiles and takes my hands. I'm glad to meet you. Your grandmother is a good friend and a great vet. Well, come on, let's have a look at Yum Yum. Yum Yum! The patient room is a lot like the one back at Grand's clinic. Somehow, I expected a top cancer treatment center to look more high tech, more like the Star Trek or something. But as Gran told me once, medicine is in the minds and hands of the doctors and nurses, not in the clinic. Interior design. Dr. Edwards examines Yum Yum with quick, sure hands, feeling all over his body the way Gran did. She takes his temperature and some blood samples. I'd like to do a fine needle biopsy of one of Yum Yum's lymph nodes. Dr. Edwards says, "Can I stay while you do it?" Jane asks. "Sure," she replies. They don't ask me, but since Jane is clutching my hand so tightly, it's cutting off my circulation. I figure I'll stay. Dr. Edwards explains that this biopsy can be done while Yum Yum is awake. While Jane holds him, Dr. Edwards inserts a thin needle into one of the lymph nodes. She explains that of the cells, which can then examine under a microscope. I can't believe how good Yum Yum is through the whole thing. Then Dr. Edwards shoos us out of the office on Jane, which is hard on Jane, but soon Dr. Edwards calls us back into her office. Jane looks as if she has a million questions, but she just clutches her shoulder bag as she waits for the doctor to speak. We don't have all the tests back, Dr. Edwards begins, and somehow I already know the news isn't good. But the biopsy shows that the cancer has spread from the original tumor into Yum Yum's mouth to the lymph nodes, just as Dr. Max suspected. Dr. Edwards' face is serious, professional, but also very kind. It's spreading into the jaw of damaging the teeth. Not good, huh? Jane says, her voice barely a whisper. Her eyes beg to be contradicted. Not good, Dr. Edwards agrees gently. From my examination, he seems to be experiencing, she adds with a smile. I should have done something sooner, Jane says. I should have realized he was sick. Dr. Edwards shakes her head. You saw Dr. Mac as soon as you noticed something was wrong. That was the most anyone can have done. This is a rapid disease. Jane and a sneaky one in both animals and people. And people. Something in Dr. Edwards' eyes tells me that maybe she's lost a loved one to cancer. What about chemotherapy? Is it too late to try that? Jane asks. No, we can still try that, Dr. Edwards says. For dogs, most dogs handle the treatment well, but I'm sure Dr. Mack has explained to you that what we do here is not a cure. The best we can do is work our hardest to arrest the disease, to keep it from spreading. After a complete series of treatments, a good many of our animals go into remission, which means there are no outward signs of the disease. But even then, remission for most animals only lasts about 10 to 12 months. Sometimes less, sometimes more. Whoa, that's a lot of sometimes. Each type of cancer responds differently to chemotherapy, and unfortunately, we have less success with Yum Yum's type of tumor. Jane nods her head. Tell me about the treatments, she says simply. Dr. Edwards hands some printed sheets across the desk, but Jane doesn't move to pick them up. She just listens to the doctor's words. Many of the drugs we use to treat cancer in animals are the same drugs that we use in people. A normal course of treatment would be 4 to 6 rounds of chemotherapy at 3-week interviews. We also like to see the animal every week for 4 weeks, then a little less often. After that, Jane stares out the window. When she turns, her expression is calm. Is it worth it, Dr. Edwards? Dr. Edwards sighs wistfully and shakes her head. That's a difficult question to answer. Jane, I have 2 dogs myself. She points to a photograph on her desk of a pair of beautiful golden retrievers, Morgan and MacDougall. They're very special to me and working here, but it's a very individual decision, Jane, one that no one can make for you. Dr. Edwards leans forward across her desk. Every dog, just like every person, is unique, and we have to deal with each case in a different way. Chemotherapy will be a big investment on your part, on investment of money, an investment on time, and an emotional investment. Too many dogs do well under chemotherapy, and we're able to extend their lives by many months. We can even cure some cancers, but if it becomes clear that the treatment is not working, that your animal is in pain or severe discomfort, we will inform you of that. Only you can decide what you want for Yum Yum. She swivels in her chair and nods at me. We will hope by the time this young woman is grown to have this stuff under control. If not total cured, but for now, Jane, this is the best we can offer. What's best for Yum Yum? Jane says. For Yum Yum. What's best for Yum Yum? Jane says. That's what I want. It's your decision, but I would urge you to try to come to a decision as soon as possible now today. If you can, if you two do decide to any time, we should go ahead and start this afternoon. Can I have a few minutes? Jane asked. Dr. Edwards smiles. Of course. I'm going to check on another patient. Then I'll be right back. She gets up and leaves the office, closing the door behind her to give Jane privacy. Jane holds Yum Yum in her arms and gazes out of the window. I decide to give her some time alone, too. I move toward the door. I think I'm going to look for a soda machine, I say softly. Can I bring you anything? No thanks, dear, Jane says, without looking up. I head out to the front desk and ask the nurse if there are any snack machines around. I follow her directions, digging change out of my pockets. I walk very, very slowly. Jane has a lot to think about. I want to give her all the time in the world. When I went back with my soda, Jane is sitting in the waiting room. Things have happened fast. Where's Yum Yum? I ask. Jane reaches out for my hand. I decide to go ahead with the chemo, she says, to see if I can give him a few more months of quality time. She looks at me, and this time her eyes were strangely dry. I hope I did the right thing, Zoe. I just feel like I have to at least try. I reach over and give her a hug. Yum Yum is lucky to have you, I whisper into her shoulder. She squeezes me hard, then lets me go. So now what happens? I ask. Yum Yum's in there now getting his first treatment. Won't they let you be with him? I ask. You should insist. Jane shakes her head. The chemotherapy drugs are given through an IV. You know what that is, don't you? I nod. Since I've been at the clinic, I've seen Gran do it. It's a way to inject a liquid drug through a needle directly into a vein. They say it's very important for the dog to stay completely still during the treatment. Jane continues. They say it's actually easier on the animal if the owner isn't there. They'll have someone hold Yum Yum still, but Dr. Edward assured me that they are very kind and gentle. How long will it take? I ask. About 30 minutes, Jane says. That's quick. I ask her if she wants to take a walk with me, or if she wants a magazine or some coffee, but Jane says she just prefers to sit and wait, so we sit. My open soda can stands untouched on the chair beside me, losing its fizz. The minutes dragged by. At last, Dr. Edwards bring Yum Yum out to us. At first, I'm almost afraid to look at him. How has the chemotherapy affected him? But when I study him, I'm surprised to see that he looks the same. He acts the same, too. For animals, the treatment can be silent as the disease. Yum Yum's a wonderful little patient, Dr. Edwards says. He has the best manners I've ever seen. And it made it much easier to do the treatment. Jane beams at the compliment. She explains, it's probably because he's a therapy dog. I bet he's terrific with his patients, Dr. Edwards adds. Then they talk about the details of Yum Yum's next treatments and set up a schedule. Dr. Edwards gives Jane more printed information. Yum Yum sits patiently through it and wagging his tail. Jane is quiet as she drives through the peaceful countryside on the way home. I hold Yum Yum, wondering about the chemicals coursing through his blood. I try to see ESP to make the drugs work fast. It's kind of strange to think that Yum Yum is going through the same things as Emma and Michael and the other kids at the hospital. I say. Jane nods. I know. Yum Yum will miss going to see them. Maybe if he does all right with the chemo, he can still go in sometimes, I suggest. If he's feeling okay, we'll see. Jane says, then adds, I still think you should consider going through the training of Sneakers. I laugh. Are you kidding? You saw what he did at the hospital the other day. Sneaker is a mess. A good dog. I'm quick to add, but a real mess. Psh. He's young, Jane assures me. He just needs a lot of love and a lot more training That's all. I don't know, Jane, I say as I stare out the window at the fields rushing past. I'm just I'm just no good at training him. I'm just no good at training him. But I'm not but. Well, you must have done something right. She says JJ has told me how you all how you all helped have Sneakers from that puppy mill. He had a really tough beginning, starved and mistreated. All that could have made him a mean or mistrustful dog. But he's not. He's very happy and loving. Part of that's his nature, but part of it is it's due to how he's been treated. How you've treated him. I look at Jane in surprise. I hadn't thought of that. I was begging to think I was just a big fat failure. When it came to Sneakers, sure, I probably not the best dog trainer, but maybe loving Sneakers is a good start. Dogs learn a lot from the owners, Jane said, and Sneakers is such a sweetheart. Jane said, and Sneakers is such a sweetheart. He's learned love and trust from you. He's learned to like and trust people instead of fearing them. Hey, that's more than half the battle. She reaches over and pats me on the leg. That's something to be proud of. Now, all you've got to do is work on his manners a little. I smile at Jane. Her words mean a lot to me. Do you really think I can do it? I ask. I know you can, she says. Keep working with him, and if he shows we can learn, I'll help you get him enrolled in a formal training program. I cuddle Yum Yum in my arms. What do you think? I murmur in his ear. Think Sneakers and I can do it? Yum Yum is dozing exhausted from his day, but he almost looks like he's smiling. Chapter 10, guys. I'm getting some water because I am dying. Also, the time I'm recording this is 8:27 right now. Chapter 10. 2 nights later, I'm dreaming that I'm in the circus. The audience applauds as Sneakers, dressed in a ruffly collar and a sparkling hat, leaps through a ring of fire. Proudly, I bow before a standing ovation. Sneaker sits up on his hind legs and barks. Over and over. He keeps barking even after the audience stops clapping. Even after the audience fades away. Suddenly, I sit up. I'm not at the circus. I'm in my bed. It's dark in my room, and Sneakers is barking wildly in his crate. Shh! I tell him. I pick up my watch from the nightstand. Sneakers, I whisper, for goodness sake, it's 3 a.m. I crawl out of my bed and open the crate, Sneaker darts out and runs through the open bedroom door. Whoa! I say through a yawn. He must really gotta go. I follow him downstairs, but he's not standing into the clinic. The lights are on. Gran must be in there. Emergency! I open the door, and Sneakers scampers into the clinic. I'm right behind him. Maybe Gran will need my help. My heart skips a beat when I see who's there with her. Jane and Yum Yum. Gran, Jane, what's wrong? I ask. Jane looks stricken. Yum Yum hasn't eaten in almost 2 days. At first, I thought the treatment might have made him lose his appetite. Then, tonight, I noticed his jaw was a little funny looking. I woke up at 2 a.m. to his whimpering. JJ, can you help him? They rush him to a treatment room. I stand near the door, but I think I'm too upset to help. Gran gently strokes the dog, examining him. Everywhere he yelps. When her hands barely touch his muzzle, Gran's brow knots. His teeth are loose, and he may have even fractured his jaw. The tumor is doing extension damage now. She says, fractured, Shane exclaims. But how? I've been taking such good care of him. He's with me night and day. JJ, he hasn't fallen or tripped. Jane, Gran says. Gran lays a hand on her friend's arm. That's not it. I can't be sure without more tests, but I'm pretty certain that the cancer has spread to his bones. I turn away. How awful! How will he be able to eat now? Yum Yum's body is breaking down, and all your love can't stop it. I'll be out in the waiting room if you need me, Gran. Gran is kind enough not to ask me to stay. I sit at the resuscitation's desk and sort through piles of paperwork and files, trying to be useful, trying to keep my mind busy. But the words written on them blur as my eyes fill with tears. I push them to a side, afraid I'll just mess them up. I marvel at how quiet the word seems at 3 a.m. People sleeping, dreaming their dreams, even as an emergency takes place down the hall. At some point, I feel someone shaking me. I realize I've fallen asleep on my folded arms, drooling into the corner of my elbow. I get up and shake the sleep off from my eyes. How is he? I blurt out. Yum Yum is resting comfortably, Gran tells me. I gave him something for the pain. Jane is sitting across from me on one of the waiting room couches. She looks as if she's in a daze. I don't know what to say or do, and I'm afraid to ask any questions. I'll go make some tea, I say, and hurry into the kitchen. The water seems as if it will never boil, but at last it does, and I hurry back to the clinic with 3 mugs of tea. I find Sneakers sitting on the couch next to Jane. She laughs softly through her tears. That's perfect therapy dog behavior, she says, rubbing the little dog's head. Sneaker can sense who needs some comfort. I'm surprised, you mean? He can really tell what you're thinking. Sure, Jane says. Sometimes I could swear I think of my mom's latest craze. You mean like ESP and all that? Gran smiles. Well, I don't know about that, but dogs are very tuned into people. They can pick up on all kinds of little signals, expressions, body language, mood. That's why it's so easy to send the wrong signals to dogs. When we train them, they just want to please humans. They need consistent, steady training, and lots of love. Jane sits there a moment, stroking Sneaker's back. Of course, Sneakers loves it, but I realize that the action seems to help Jane even more than it does Sneakers. A calmness comes over JJ. She says at least, yes, JJ. Jane looks at Gran. Without speaking, Gran looks back. And I think, wow, amazing. Neither woman says a word. And yet a whole conversation passes between them, even watching from the outside. I know what they're saying, so their next words don't really surprise me, even though it hurts to hear them spoken aloud. I think if Yum Yum could talk, Jane almost whispers. I think he said, it's time. Gran nods. I love Yum Yum so much. Her voice breaks. Tears well up in the corner of Gran's eyes. Gran hugs Jane, and the two women just hold each other for a moment. Then Jane pulls away, wiping the back of her heart and across the back of her hand, across her eyes. Oh, Jane, I say, and I know they're going to put Yum Yum to sleep. You don't need me, do you, Gran? I say as the tears stream down my face. I know there's no way I can help with this. No, hon, we'll be fine. Can I go tell him goodbye? Gran nods. She and Jane let me go in alone. I go over to the cage where Yum Yum is dozing. I open the door and stroke her soft fur. I scratch behind his ears, and the way he likes it. His eyes fluttered open a little. Goodbye, Yum Yum, I whisper. I'll never forget you. I kiss his little head. Then I run from the room. Gran catches me in her arms and holds me close. It helps. Then she releases me, and she and Jane go in together to tell Yum Yum goodbye and to take away his pain. I don't know how Gran can do it. She really is amazing. I run outside and sit on the back deck. I watch the first whisper to pink tint and sky. Sneakers climbs into my lap. I told him tightly as he licks my tears away. Beautiful chapter, guys. Chapter 11. By the time the rest of the world yawns awake, I'm out in the yard, hard at work. I can hardly bear to think about Yum Yum. It's too painful. It's worse if I sit and do nothing, so I throw myself into a heavy training session to block the grief from my mind. Sit, Sneakers, sit. When he doesn't sit at first, I press down gently on his rump and pull on his leash. Sneakers instantly sits. Good dog, I praise him. Rubbing his ears, Sneakers barks happily. With Sneakers' help, I dried all my tears. And I've decided there's only one way to really deal with my sadness over Yum Yum. That's for me and Sneakers to continue Yum Yum's work at the hospital. It will be like a tribute to his memory. Maybe that will help. We do sit a couple more times. Sneaker gets better, and each time Sneakers gets better, and each time I reward him for doing it right. Then I switch to stay. Then I switch to stay. Then I switch to stay. I stretch out my right hand palm forward. I move my hands right in front of his face and say firmly, "Stay, stay." Slowly, I take a step. One step away, Sneaker barks happily and lunges after me. "No, no, no," I say, pulling up on his leash. He looks so cute that I want to reach out and hug him, but I don't. I make myself resist the urge. I must be careful not to send him mixed signals and confuse him. And I must give him praise only when he does something right. Let's start again with sit and then stay. I smile. It's finally sinking into my thick head. That part of training a dog is training yourself. We'll keep working on it over and over till we get it right. And you and me, Sneakers, I promise. We begin again. The sun is still low in the sky when I hear the screen door screech open. Gran has taken Jane home, so I know it's Maggie. Before I even turn around, I hear her bare feet on the deck. "What you doin'?" she asks as she sits on the top steps. Her hair is still rumpled from sleep. "What does it look like? Kind of early?" I shake my head. "It's kind of late." "Huh?" The sadness wells up in my throat again, but I try to keep it from spilling over. I don't want to look like a wimp in front of Maggie. Jane Young brought Yum Yum in last night around 3 o'clock. Oh no. Yeah, I sit down on the step beside my cousin to tell her what happened. Gran had to. My voice chokes. Incredibly, Maggie reads my mind. She's silent to clear her throat. And and the next thing I know, she gives me a hard hug. Maybe my stubborn cousin and I do have something in common. After a few seconds, we pull apart. I wipe my face with my sleeve. So how's Jane? Maggie asked. Not too well. Gran's over there with her now. How are you doing? I'm okay. Maggie stares out across the yard. That's part of being a vet volunteer. But you never get used to it. At least I never do. Even though I know it stops the suffering. Grant's amazement. I say. Maggie nods. That's one thing she agrees with me about. She loves animals, and that's why she's strong enough to be there for them enough during the hard parts. Sneakers trots up with a stick in his mouth. Oh, you want to play, huh? I say. I pull on the stick, trying to take it away so that we can play fetch. Sneakers won't let it go. Hey, I can throw it if you won't let it go, I say, tugging on the stick. Maggie clears her throat. Do you mind if I make a suggestion? She says it so nicely, so unlike the way we've talked to each other in the past week, that I have to laugh. Please, I say. Maggie grins and stands up. Okay, let go of the stick. I let go. Now stand up, she orders me, and we walk into the grass. Think firm. Let him know you're the boss, and that you expect him to mind. I'll try, I say, but what exactly do I do? I hold out your hand and say, give. I actually laugh out loud. Yeah, right. No way that'll work. No way that will work. It will work, Maggie insists. If you say it the same way each time and keep saying it till he understands that you mean and praise him, even if he just thinks about giving the stick up. Okay, I turn around Sneakers. I think about a teacher and I had in 3rd grade. Mrs. Meyerson. I hold out my hand on the way she did when she knew a kid had gum in his mouth. Give, I say firmly. Sneakers promptly runs across the yard. I glare at my cousin. See, I told you. Give the dog a bark, Maggie says. It's the first time you did it. I start to chase after Sneakers. Come back here. Give me that. Don't, Maggie says, grabbing my sleeve, but Maggie grins. She shakes her head. Plant your feet. Make him come to you. Make him sit. Use your leash to keep him from running off. Insist through your body language. The look in your eye. He'll come around, but trust me, Maggie says, laughing. The most important thing to remember is this dog wants to please you. Got that? I got that. She turns toward the deck. Keep trying. Keep trying. Keep trying. Keep trying while I go while I go make us breakfast. Maggie, yeah. Can we have some besides the fake food you call cereal? Sure, Maggie says with a grin. How about some microwave French toast? I roll my eyes, but this morning I can't argue. My dog and I have work to do. After breakfast, I decide to make a big chart to track my training. Time for Swift Sneakers. Brenna gave me copies of the pictures she took the other day, and I pick out my favorite, the one of Sneakers licking my face, to tape to the chart. Then I write Zoe and Sneakers training chart across the top. After all, we're both learning what to do. I've noticed that when I work with Sneakers, he does pretty well for a while, but when he gets distracted, so I plan to work in short sessions, a couple of times a day. Every day I use a magnet to stick my chart to a refrigerator so that I won't forget about it. And I don't know if it will work, but I'm going to try. 5 days later, I'm stunned. Sneakers is doing better. Even Maggie is impressed. See, Maggie says, I knew you could do it. I smile at her praise. All you needed to do, Maggie adds, was to exactly what I told you. I pretend to growl. Then I grin. Thanks so much, Margaret. Don't call me Margaret, Maggie screeches. She hates that name. Gran steps out on the deck, shaking her head. Girls, not again. How many times? She stops when she sees Maggie and me laughing and throwing leaves at each other. And she smiles. Never mind, she says, and heads back inside. So the training is going well, getting Sneakers to stay in his crate at night is a bit harder. The first night I gave up and let him sleep in the bed with me, but I closed my door so that he wouldn't wander around the house. When I woke up in the morning, Sneakers was quiet, too quiet. I jumped out of the bed and found him chewing on one of my shoes. That definitely motivated me to work harder. So that night I put him in his crate, but the only way I could get him to stop whimpering and crying was to sleep right next to his crate, with my hand where he could lick it. I was pretty sore the next morning from sleeping on the floor, and the next night I moved a little farther away. The following night, I put a t-shirt I'd worn the day into Sneakers' crate with him. I guess it smelled enough like me to make him happy. He was pretty quiet most of the night. By the next night, we both slept peacefully in our beds. The one command that still didn't work with Sneakers is roll over. He just doesn't seem to understand what that means. I mean, I even acted out for him. I get grass stains all over my clothes, but he still doesn't get it. I'll keep trying though, because the kids really like it. Maybe we should stop in and say hi, huh? Sneakers, Sneakers bark. So I lead him up the steps. A bell over the door tingles as we enter the salon. Still brushing and blowing, Jane looks over her shoulder. Zoe, she exclaims. And Sneakers! How are you doing? Hi, Jane. I say, are you busy? Mrs. Martin here is my last customer till this evening. Can you wait? Can you wait? Sure, I sit down next to Mrs. Martin's twins, Heidi and Holly. Sit, I say to Sneakers. Sneakers sits, just as prettily as a dog on TV. Wow, Jane says over the hum on of the blow dryer. When did he learn that? I've been working with him all week, I say. Jane nods. It's too noisy to keep talking, so I waited. I noticed framed photos of Yum Yum on the counter, and and I feel a little pinch in my heart. I mean, I still have my dog, and he's alive, and, well, I hope that won't make Jane feel bad that hers is gone. The twins started petting Sneakers and talking to him. Sneaker enjoys the attention, but stays where he is. If he starts to jump up on one of the kids, I will know to remind him off. He feels great when Sneakers obeys perfectly. What a smart dog! Soon Jane turns off her blow dryer, brushes Mrs. Martinez's hair a little, and holds up a mirror. Perfect, Mrs. Martin says as always. Thanks, Jane. Jane whisked off the cape when they got to the cash register by the door. While Miss Martin pays, I show the twins some of Sneaker's tricks. Sit, stay, and shake. The twins are impressed. Hey, Mom, Heidi shouts. Can we get a dog like this? Mrs. Martin smiles. We'll talk about it at home. Holly pouts. That's what she always says. She mutters. I grin. Tell her that mutts are very lovable. Both kids' eyes light up. We will, they say. Pet Sneakers. Jane comes over to pet Sneakers. How my little buddy? She coos, scratching him behind the ears just like she always did with Yum Yum. Sneakers barks to say he's fine. I've really worked hard at training him this week, I say. It shows I'm quiet for a moment, trying to say what I don't know how to say. I'm sorry I haven't come to see you. Jane looks at me with a smile that seems happy and sad at the same time. That's okay, honey. I understand. I haven't felt much like visiting this week anyway. I don't know if this will make her feel worse, but I tell her this. I miss Yum Yum. The funny thing is, it seems to make her happier. She gives me a hug. Thanks, sweetheart. A lot of people don't bother to say anything. I guess they think he was just a dog, but they think he was just a dog, but Yum Yum was my family. I nod. I haven't been back. I haven't been back to see the kids at the hospital, she admits. I called the nurses to let them know what happened. Did you see the cards the kids made for me? She points to the bulletin board behind the desk. It's covered with dozens of handmade cards. Did Emma make a card? I ask her. Jane nods and points to the card in the middle. It's red construction paper heart that's been cut into two jagged pieces of a broken heart. So Emma is paying attention. She just keeps it all inside. Obviously, Yum Yum was starting to get through to her. I wish I was going in, Jane says. I miss going. I wonder how the kids are doing. Do you think you will get another dog? I ask instantly. I wonder if it was the wrong thing to say, but Jane just smiles kind of lucidly and shakes her head. No, I can't stand the thought of replacing Yum Yum, at least not yet. Maybe one day, she sighs. I feel sorry about leaving the therapy dog program. In need, though, I nod, thinking about Emma. Sneakers jumps up into Jane's lap, and she gives him a warm hug. Then she strokes her fur thoughtfully. I've got an idea, Zoe. Let's take Sneakers over to the hospital again. You've been working so hard with him. Maybe he's a therapy dog after all. You mean now? I ask. Why not? Jane says. Look, how well behaved he is. He's been in here. Well, what with the twins and the noise from the blow dryer, he's really improved. Come on, let's try it. I'm not sure, I say. I want to do it, but I planned on waiting until he was really ready before trying it with him again. I look at Sneakers. His tail is wagging. I looked at Jane. Her face is glowing. Maybe we should try. Maybe it'll do more than just cheer up the kids at the hospital. Maybe it'll help cheer up Jane too. Why not? I answered back. Let me call Gran. Chapter 12. So guys, I'm getting some water again. Okay. Chapter 12. I'm nervous when we get to the hospital. Maybe Sneakers isn't ready for this. What if he blows it again? What if I blow it? I guess my nervousness shows on my face. Jane gives me a wink. Don't worry, Sneakers. We'll be fine. Just make sure you give him the firm, calm direction he needs. But when he get to the children's ward, Nurse Bennett blocks our path. Whoa, 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 she says, holding up her hands. Where do you think you're going? We're here to visit the kids, Jane replies. Nurse Bennett shakes her head. I don't think so, Jane. Not that dog. I remember what happened last time. Oh, that was the old days, Jane says, trying to soften her up. Sneakers just had a bad day. Last time, Zoe has been training him all week. And he's doing just great. He's going to be a therapy dog. I'm sure the kids would love him to see him. Nurse Bennett puts her foot down. Sorry, guys, she says, but I'm afraid I have to say no. It's not fair, I say to Jane as we leave the hospital. It's just not fair. I feel awful. I feel as if it's my fault. If I trained Sneakers better from the beginning, he wouldn't have misbehaved. The last time he were at the hospital, we'd be inside right now, cheering up all those kids. I put Sneakers down on the ground and hook his leash to his collar. I start to walk staring at the ground. Don't worry, kiddo, Jane says, trying to console me as we walk back toward the car. Temporary setback. We'll get you in sooner or later. Suddenly, the leash pulls tightly behind me. I look back. Sneakers has stopped dead in his tracks and has stared, barking at something. I'm not in the mood for this. Come on, Sneakers. I tug on my leash. Sneakers tugs back. It's like he's misbehaving just to make me feel worse. Come on, come, boy, come. I whistle, then clap my hands. Come on, Sneak. Wanna go for a ride? But no matter what I say, he won't budge. Maybe the nurse is right, I tell Jane in frustration. Maybe Sneakers just can't be trained. Maybe he just isn't cut out to be a therapy dog. Sneakers barks again. Now he's tugging toward the side of the building. What's he barking at? I ask Jane. I look up and all around. I don't see anything. Sneakers tugs me across the grass toward a large window. What is it, boy? Sneakers stops in the grass and sits. He barks and barks at a large picture window. Something inside the hospital is looking out. The sun glints off the window a moment and I can't see who it is. The Sneaker tugs me closer and I can see. It's Emma Morgan. She's sitting in her wheelchair. Like always, I can't believe it. Believe how different she looks from when I saw her over a week ago. She's thinner, frailer, slumped lower in her seat, a ridiculous smiley face balloon tied to her wheelchair, but bobs above her head. Look, Jane, I say over my shoulder, it's Emma. Sneakers barks and barks. Then I realize that Emma's not staring at nothing. Then she usually does. She's looking at Sneakers, full of hope. I dash in front of Sneakers. Come on, Sneakers, let's show her what we can do. I look him in the eye. I try to talk to him with all my thoughts, all my body language, all my heart. Sit, I begin. Sneakers sits like a prince. I want to scoop him up and swirl him around, but instead I try our hardest trick. Come on, Sneaks. Listen now. Roll over. I make the rolling motion with my hands. Use all the ESP juice I can muster. Roll over, Sneak. You can do it. Roll over, Sneak. Sneakers rolls over, then springs back onto his paws. Ta-da! His little face seems to say, woohoo! I shout, jumping in the air. Good boy! And then he does it again and again. I realize he's having fun. I glance up at the window and I see something even more wonderful. Emma smiles. More kids join Emma at the window now, trying to see what she's smiling at. I wave at the kids, some that I know and some new ones. The kids smile and wave back. When they see Sneakers rolling around, they start to laugh and clap and tap on the window. I scoop Sneakers up and we both take a bow. Then I hold Sneakers up to the window. He tries to give Emma a kiss through the glass. Emma blows him a kiss instead. Then I see another face. Uh-oh, it's Nurse Burnett. She motions at me. I guess she's telling me to go away. To quit bothering the patients. What a party pooper. I whisper to Sneakers. I hug him to turn away. Wait, Zoe. Jane puts a hand on my shoulder, stopping me. Look, I turn around. Nurse Bennett isn't scowling like I expect her to be. She's shaking her head, but she's smiling and waving at me. What? I say, stepping forward. I can't hear her, but I can read her lips. Come on in. She mouths, and she's waving at me to hurry. Really? I exclaim. She smiles and nods enthusiastically. I'll be right there, I say. Come on, Jane. We stop first so Sneakers can empty his tank. Then the three of us hurry inside. Soon I'm sitting in the lounge surrounded by kids. Sneakers rests quietly on Emma's lap as she strokes his fur. Stephanie is sitting on the floor beside them, trying to brush Sneakers' fur with a purple doll brush. For once, Michael isn't cracking jokes, but he's got a new chew toy that he bought for Yum Yum. He gives it to Sneaker instead. That makes me feel great to see that Sneaker isn't just mine. He's a dog that a lot of people can love. It's funny I started out doing this to help offers. I never guessed how great it would make me feel. What if I'd given up on Sneakers? What if I'd just quit trying to train him? He wouldn't be here now cheering up these kids, filling in for Yum Yum. I owe it to Jane, Gran, and even Maggie for helping me. I only wish Mom could see me now. She'd probably say this would make a great movie, Zoe. Standing back with Nurse Bennett, Jane looks happier than she looked in a while, I hope, helping me. And Sneakers training will keep her busy as she learns to deal with losing Yum Yum. As soon as I get home, I'm going to call up the training program, Jane told me about and finds out how Sneakers and I can train in a real therapy dog program. Then Sneakers will be official. I can't help but wonder as I watch everyone what it is about a dog that makes people so happy, especially kids like these who have a whole lot to be unhappy about. I don't know. Maybe it's because a dog just thinks about today. He doesn't worry about the future. He doesn't fret about the big messes he made yesterday. He's just trying to be happy now. The kids have asked me to read a book, and I've found one that Emma's brother sent her. I opened the cover to the title page. Lassie, come home. I read, then tell the kids. This is Sneaker's favorite book. He loves stories that have a dog as the main character. Emma laughs. Her eyes shine for a moment. All her problems are forgotten. And then I begin to read. I always love the beginning of a new story. The end, guys. So, guys, that is the end. And bye. Hope you have a good night and or day. And bye. Bye.